Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Love Letters. Love Letters are a collection of love stories so people get lost, get crazy in the name of love. And today I have my special guest. I have my I have a special guest, people. She is instructional designer, author, college professor, as well as a fellow podcaster, no other than Miss Jackie Pelegrin.
Thank you, Daniel, for having me on another one of your podcasts today. I appreciate it.
Yes, indeed, Miss Jackie, and thank you so much for being on Love Letters. And well, today we're gonna talk about another great episode, designing with love, turning complex learning into engaging experiences. So, Miss Jackie, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. The phrase designing with love is powerful. What does that
Yes.
mean to you in practical sense, and how is it different from just aiming for user engagement or completion rates?
Yes, that's a wonderful question. I love it. So for me, the name designing with love means that I'm designing with the learner in mind. I'm designing with intention and always with heart, right? So that's where it comes from. So that's where the name kind of came from, was thinking about the learner first, and it's just wonderful. So I always get I get that question asked a lot, of where did the name come from for the podcast. So yes, exactly, I love it. And so what I try to do is I try to definitely design around that love for learning, the love for the learner themselves. And so it's really great. So I feel like, that's a love letter to them, and to say, here, I'm going to create something for you that's going to take you to the next level. And so I feel like that is an opportunity to really engage with the learner, and give them something that they may have not known that they needed. But yeah, and so it's really great to have that opportunity, and to break down that complex learning right into something that's engaging for them. So it's wonderful.
Yes,
Hmm.
definitely to empower people all over the world through designing with love. You focus on turning complex learning to engaging experiences. What is the fundamental connection between love and effectively simplifying the complex?
Mm, yes. So I think what really helps is when you can help individuals, help learners at any level, no matter what they're in, to think about, what's my passion? What's my why? Why do I want to go into something? So being able to help them connect to that as an educator, or as for me as an instructional designer too, whichever area I'm in, I think that's really important. And being able to help them to connect with that, and to not lose that why, and not lose that passion, because so many times we get into a profession, or we get into something, whether it's writing a book, right, or doing a podcast, right, it can sometimes we think that that's something that we kind of lose that a little bit. And so I think it's so important to keep that why at the center. Why did you start this podcast, right? Exactly. So having that ability to be able to do that, I think, helps to make that learning memorable, and it transforms it, right? So it's an opportunity to be able to do that, and give the learners and even yourself that ability to be able to transform that experience for them. And then, of course, as we're talking about today, it's all about that love, and being able to keep that at the center as well. So yeah, so I think those three ingredients, the love and the why and the passion, really tie together so well, and help create that transformative experience for them.
Open that wide, people. Open it and explore. How do you define the emotional state you're trying to concrete or to create for the learner? Is it curiosity, confidence, safety, or something else?
Yes, so I think it's a combination of all of that, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that confidence is so important to bringing them to that realization of their why, because if they're not confident in what they're able to do in their career or in their personal life even, then it's going to be hard to bring them over that threshold to understand what their true passion and their why is. So I think that's important, the confidence and creativity. Absolutely, creativity is, I think, one of the bedrocks of us being able to take things to the next level and to be able to create things that have meaning and can transcend even one moment in time, right? And be able to last years, decades, a lifetime. So I think being able to have that creativity is so important. And then safety. You brought up safety. That's so important too. Helping learners to have a safe space where they feel like they can make mistakes and they can, that failure is okay, because we know that things aren't always going to turn out correctly or to our desires, or maybe what we were hoping at first. But I think being able to have that safe space to fail and to try again until we know that it's something that we feel confident with, and we feel like, okay, we can now take this out to the world and we can give that something that is going to just continue to grow, and that someone else can take the reins with it when the time comes. So I think it's being able to have that, all of that together is so important. Absolutely. Yes.
Miss Jackie, let's talk about the process and methodology. When faced with a dense or technically complex subject, what is your first step in design process to ensure it becomes engaging rather than overwhelming?
Yes, that's a wonderful concept, and I'm glad you brought that up, because with new instructional designers or those that are new to education in general, it can be hard to be able to break that down, and so that learners are able to understand that and be able to move forward. So one of the things I always let my designers know, and those that are in the education space, is to start with a needs assessment, see where your learners are, what are their pain points, right? So one of the things that is done often, uh, even outside of education, and is done in customer service, I'll bring this example up because it's really great, is empathy and journey maps. So when we think of an empathy map, right, we think of how can we empathize with the learner. So what that does is it actually is like a four quadrant type of system, where you think about, you actually take the learners on a journey and you say, okay, what are your pain points? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you doing? And so it gives you that opportunity to be able to do that. And then you take that and you put that into that empathy map. And then a journey map is where you actually come alongside the learner and you take that opportunity to understand their journey and understand their pain points. And I think that gives you the opportunity to be at their level and say, okay, now I understand exactly what they need. And so that actually, what you have on the screen, that latest episode, that needs analysis and learner personas, is exactly what I'm talking about. So being able to take that needs analysis and understand them. And then learner personas are actually where you create your ideal learner. So you create that persona and you give them, I even tell my students, give them a name. It doesn't have to be a real name. It can just be a pseudonym, but give them a name, give them a personality. And then that is your target learner and who you want to design for. And even if it helps, print out that learner persona and put them on your desk, or put them in a place where you know that every day that you're working on that project or that curriculum, that's who you're designing for. And so it really helps to be able to bring that back, and again, we bring that back to the designing with love opportunities. So I think that's where we start. Before we get into designing the curriculum, we have to understand who our learners are and what their needs are.
Yes, who knows? You will offering a course about love soon, Miss Jackie. And how do you use narrative and storytelling to create an emotional connection to what might otherwise be dry or abstract information?
Yes, that's so important. And that's actually something I brought up in my latest episode, my solo episode that I just recorded. It's not out yet, but it's about creating those connections with individuals. So, storytelling is actually one of the elements that I think often gets overlooked. And so, like you said, with dry training like technology or compliance training, oh my goodness, that can be boring sometimes. Yes. And so, being able to take those types of learnings and bring them a fresh perspective with storytelling is so powerful, because one thing I mentioned in my episode is that people won't remember bullet points on a slide or anything like that, but they will remember a story more so, and that will connect with them and resonate with them. So again, it comes back to that needs analysis, and then taking that and building that in and creating a story that will resonate with them and will connect with your learners is the most powerful thing you can ever do. And then also authenticity, I think, is so important in that storytelling process. So making sure it's not scripted, that it's authentic and is connected to the learner. So I encourage educators all over who are listening to this to make sure that you incorporate storytelling into your curriculum and into your lessons, because I think it's so important to have that, and to also invite your learners to be part of that process and to be part of the storytelling, because when they feel a sense of ownership and connection to that, and it's not just the educator sharing the stories, but you invite your learners to share their stories and how they've been impacted by that, then I think that takes it to a whole different level, and they don't just go, it just goes beyond memorization, and it goes deeper than that, and they can apply it to their lives every day. So it's great.
That would be great. And Miss Jackie, let's talk about the human impact. The
Yes.
aha moment. What is the most rewarding feedback you have ever received from a learner? The kind that confirms you've successfully designed with love.
Yes. So I would say a recent experience is in one of my classes I'm teaching right now, and it's about organizational workplace and performance. And so it's about learning to understand how organizations function and how to help them be successful. So I'm teaching that class right now. And one of the assignments that I had my students do, and it was really impactful and powerful. And it actually had AI technology built into it. So what they had to do is they had to look at the assignment instructions, and it had situational leadership model built into it. So they had to look at the four different readiness levels and how to approach those. And then they had to take that assignment and they had to take the different elements of it with the prompts with those readiness styles and put it into an AI tool. And then they had to converse with the tool where they were the instructional designer, and then the AI platform and that tool was that particular employee, and they had to converse with that employee and be able to come to a resolution with that situation, and they were at different readiness styles. And then they had to write a reflection paper afterwards, and they had to be able to give their experience of being able to do that. What was difficult, what went well, what didn't go well, right? And then in that reflection they also had to write about which readiness style was the most difficult to be able to do and interact with, and which was the easiest and why. So one of my students actually, before she submitted her assignment, she actually asked me, she's like, how many times do I interact with this particular AI model? And I said, however many times you need to interact with it to get the result you need. And so she was just having a little bit of trouble with that. And so I helped her through that. And afterwards, when she submitted her assignment, she said, thank you so much for helping me through that, because I read the assignment 2 or 3 times and I just was not fully understanding what that was. So she appreciated that. And her that aha moment for her was being able to connect with me and be able to have that one-on-one time and be able to fully understand the assignment so that she could make it the best experience as possible. So that was a great experience for me, and that only happened last week. So that's a great example of that, of being able to have that aha moment, not only for my student but also for myself too, and being able to take that to the next level for her.
And Miss Jackie, how does this approach empower learners to become more confident and self-dedicated or directed to their learning journey beyond their specific course?
Yes, that's great because as you mentioned, it goes beyond just that course they're taking, and it actually transcends into the the program and the different courses that they take throughout the program, but then also in their career journey as well. So I think being able to connect with students on that personal level and also giving them that support, but then also giving them that autonomy as well, because adult learners, those of your listeners that are adult learners, they'll appreciate this, that they want that self-directedness, they want that autonomy, but not to the point where they feel like they're lost in the curriculum or in the teaching. So being able to provide that right level of support, I think for them is important. And so I give them those little nuggets of information to help guide them along the way and give them that confidence. And then if they have questions, they can certainly come to me for support with that. So I think that's very important. So even for K through 12 educators, I think they can still do that, and give the students that support and give them that confidence they need, but then also give them some of that agency that they need to be able to have that creativity and be able to feel like they're designing something and creating something that speaks to them and speaks to their love language, right? And so I think that's really important to have that opportunity to bridge all of that together. Yeah.
Very well said, Miss Jackie.
Yes.
Very well said indeed. And
Thank you.
how do you convince a bottom line focus organizations that investing in this empathic, loving approach to learning design has to a tangible ROI?
No, that's a great question. Yes, because I think so many organizations they do. They think about the ROI, they think about the bottom line. But I think what often gets lost in that process with organizations, because I've worked in corporate, I've worked in higher education, and I see that there's so many intersections to that. So I think what often gets lost is that they think about the numbers, and especially in higher leadership roles. So I think for leaders, what they need to be able to do, any leaders that are listening to this, is not to get so far up in the corporate ladder that you forget about who you're working for, because you know, yes, your employees that are doing the day-to-day work, yes, they're reporting up to you, but at the same time you need to be a servant leader and you need to serve them and remember who you're working with. And so I think it's not about who's at the top, but I think it's how can you be with them and be there to support them in the day-to-day work and help them to know that they have that support, because I think so many times employees may feel like they don't have that support and they may feel siloed, and then if they do have questions or they do have concerns, then do they know who to go to in the organization? Is it their direct report? Can they go up to the senior vice president of the company, and do they have an open door policy to be able to have those conversations? Because I think when you have that open window of opportunity and you're able to collaborate with your employees at any level, no matter where they're at, I think that's so important. And to have that collaboration and those opportunities, because sometimes when you're far removed from that, that can actually hurt the ROI of the company. That can hurt the bottom line of the company, because you're not engaging with your employees on a daily basis. So I think I would say to those that have a corner office, right? Maybe get out of that office a little bit more often and actually walk around. If you have a physical office and you're not working from home, just walk around and get to know some of the employees and get to talk and just talk to them, even if it's for 5 minutes. Your employees will appreciate that, and they'll know that you care about them, you care about the work that they're doing and them as individuals. So I think that's important. So that would be my number one advice, is to just get out there and do that. And if you work in a remote environment, I would say give praise to your employees, find out what their appreciation language is and their love language in some ways is, but in a way that's, professional, but find out what that is, what their appreciation language is, and then appreciate them in those ways that mean the most to them. So yeah, I think that's great.
Great, Miss Jackie. And let's talk about the personal inspiration. What experience in your own life, either a learner or a teacher, solidified your belief in this approach?
Yes. So I think as a learner, for me, what really helped me was when I'm thinking far back, like to when I was going to University of Phoenix. I was getting my undergraduate degree in marketing, and I had a particular instructor that was really solidified for me that I wanted to pursue a master's degree in business. And I didn't expect that I would earn my second master's degree in instructional design, but she actually was a really good instructor, and she encouraged me to pursue my love of learning and lifelong learning. And so that was for me what really, I don't think at that time I realized that I was going to be an instructor and I was going to go back to school, but now that I think back on that in that period of time where she really encouraged me and she encouraged other people in the class to do that, I think that cemented that early on and it planted that seed for me. And it was amazing because now I can see that trajectory and how everything turned out. And so now I'm a podcast host, right? And I'm a public. I my work isn't published yet, but it's getting there. So it's on its
Yes.
way, right? So I see that how every step of that process, how she built that, and like I said, she planted that seed, and that helped me to understand early on that I could pursue my dreams, I could pursue my passions, and now here I am today. So that's great.
Yes. Awesome. And we salute you for doing all those things, Miss Jackie. Do well, bring your legacy to the world.
Thank you.
And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101, love letters in third season, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Jackie, when you imagine a world where more learning is designed with love, what does the world look like? What changes in people and organizations?
Oh, yes, I love that question. I think what it does is it transforms our lives because education is connected to so much. It's not just a one-time event. It's something that there's a common thread that happens throughout that. So I think when we design with love, we're allowing individuals that are in education or being taught, so whichever side they're on, I think it allows us to be able to transform people's lives in ways that they never would have imagined. So just like with me being an educator, I never thought I would have become a college professor, and now I'm impacting students' lives well beyond that. And what's amazing, Daniel, is I keep in touch with my students even after they graduate. So it's not that one time event. And whether I have that student once in their program or I have them four times in their program, it's amazing. And so I think that's when we design with love, we're able to really make an impact and difference for generations to come.
Indeed, your legacy to the world, Miss Jackie, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your podcast, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yes, they can definitely professionally connect with me on LinkedIn. Just look for me, look for my name, and they can find me there. I also have a Buy Me a Coffee page, so feel free to connect on there. I have some really great posts that I put on there, and as Daniel is showing on the podcast, feel free to look up the podcast Designing with Love. It's on all major platforms, and hopefully my book will be out sometime next year.
Yes, looking forward for that book, Miss Jackie, and please do come over and let's talk about it and promote to the world. That's so, Miss Jackie. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate you having me on the show. I look forward to being back on soon.
Yes, indeed. More to come, people. See you soon.